Is Tyrese Maxey already a star? He drops 50 against the Indiana Pacers as the Sixers go 2-0 over the weekend, improving to a league best 8-1 record on the young season. Also, and now that the bye week is gone, which of the upcoming Eagles games is most important to you? Which one needs to be a W for you versus the Chiefs, the Bills, the Niners, the Cowboys? Again, whichever one you pick, feel free to drop them in the comment section and we'll get to each and every one of them throughout the show, guys. Welcome back to the Phaithful Fanatic Show on this Monday morning. I am one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host. If you guys are new to the channel, if you like the content, make sure to support by smashing that subscribe button, turn on notifications for whenever we go live or post a video here on the DSM Philadelphia YouTube channel. My man, what a weekend it was. Stress-free football-wise. No Eagles. Don't have to worry about it. They sit at a league best 8-1 record. The Sixers take a quick trip to Detroit Friday night for a play-in, for a in-season tournament game, not a play-in game. And then they come back home yesterday for some ball against the Indiana Pacers. And boy, oh boy, did they not disappoint. We're going to break down both of those games. But how are you feeling on this Monday morning?
I'm feeling great, man. Obviously, coming off the big Sixers weekend, really chill weekend for the football side of things, like you said. Nonetheless, the Sixers do exactly what they need to do in all of these games over the weekend to continue the win streak and fulfill, everything that we're feeling about the Sixers right now. Yeah, straight up prayers for Kelly Oubre. Definitely don't want to hover over that as well. Just crazy that you can, be 6'7" and an NBA player. Crazy that anybody gets hit by a car in the middle of a city, but like you could be a 6'7" NBA player that sticks out like a sore thumb, and you still have people that will run.
And then you drive off.
Yeah. And then you drive off, and then you have to wonder, is the car registered? Yeah. So like there's a whole, I mean, if you drive in Philadelphia, and I would say like any city, honestly,
Saturday night, probably drinking, right?
Just out of control. Yeah. I mean, you talk about like the highways, and this is Philadelphia specific, man. There's times where, there's people that come up on the side and the margins, they drive up the margins to just skip by traffic, ultimately clogs traffic as well, but it's also very dangerous for any situation. Now, this was in the city, so who knows what happened, but I'm glad to hear he's okay. Nonetheless, yeah, Philadelphia drivers are super crazy. And I would say any city, man. Go to New York, you drive in their city, it's fucking nuts. Go over to Paris, France, it's fucking nuts. Like anywhere you go in the world, the cities where it's higher populated means you
everyone's got a place to be right now, right?
Yeah, more idiots in a higher dense population area. So it happens, but
glad to hear Oubre
okay. And
no, seriously.
Great performance last night by the Sixers. But yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. No. Happy Monday to you, brother.
Yeah, back at you. Well, when the tweet first comes out that, breaking news, Sixers wing Kelly Oubre has been hit by a car as a pedestrian, you just go immediately like to the worst possible place, right? And then obviously slowly but surely more reports come out, throughout the night that this is what happened. He's in stable condition, he's released, and so on and so forth. And you're like, okay. And now we look back towards the basketball point of things, and that's exactly what the Sixers were able to do last night as he watched from home. Scotty, we have to start the conversation with one person and one person only. That is the thumbnail of the show. That is part of the title of the show, and it's TR's comment right here. He's claiming it now. Tyrese Maxey is, in fact, already a star. He drops a 50 burger last night against the Indiana Pacers. 7 made threes from the kid. Obviously, the final bucket, the step back on the wing to get it. You saw the excitement from Joel Embiid. We'll discuss that as well, because my man was not quiet last night, giving you 37 alongside Tyrese Maxey's 50. But man, Scotty, I got to start with this. And I know you've been on board since day one. You and I have gone back and forth via text, in person over this show. When all the rumors are circulating, would you move him for Damian Lillard? Would you move him for this a couple years ago? I remember at the deadline when Kyle Lowry was available from Toronto. Tyrese Maxey was in the conversation for a package there as well, man. And I have to say, the kid is already better than I ever imagined his ceiling was. Listen, guys, I've seen the leaps year to year. I understand the work ethic. I understand loving the person. And Tyrese Maxey, it was obvious that Tyrese Maxey was going to be a player in this league. But the question remained when James Harden was frustrated here in Philadelphia, when James Harden was ready to move on, the question became, is there a better option via trade, via free agency? Is there another option if James Harden moves on? And lo and behold, he was in our back pocket already. When I say he's better than I ever imagined, my point was this. The dude's floor is 18 to 20 on a bad night. His floor, he could shoot the ball poorly like he did 2 games ago and still give you 25 points on a given night, okay? That's his floor. Well, what can his ceiling be? Is his ceiling 35? Is 37? No. His ceiling is that he can give you 50 plus. Can he play the point? That's a question we had.
Yeah.
New career highs in assists, it feels like every night. 10, 11, 9, 10, 11. Every single night. Can he shoot 40% plus from 3? Yeah, he can do that too. And the biggest question, Scotty, was what? Can he do it next to number 21? Yeah. We've seen the big-time performances over the last 2 years out of Tyrese Maxey when he was running the show, when it was a rest night for Joel Embiid, or Joel Embiid was injured for a period of time, and you'd get your 35-point performances. He did it next to that dude last night. Not only did he do it next to that dude performed pretty A-okay next to him as well, right?
Yeah.
So to see this pairing come together the way it has to start this year, and to watch last night, dude, the kid's already a star.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. I would have traded him for Dame, whatever. I'm forgetting what other packages. Harden. I remember saying before Harden went to Brooklyn, you don't, excuse me.
Yeah.
You don't stop the bus at Tyrese Maxey. He's not the straight stuff. I was wrong.
To be fair on the Harden point, before he left Houston, if he doesn't have that hamstring thing in Brooklyn, he was balling out at an MVP level when he first got to Brooklyn. So that one wasn't really outlandish. We weren't even able to see what Maxey was with Doc Rivers. So I won't even blame you for that one. And I may have been in that camp as well. I can't really remember at this point. But I know the Kyle Lowry one was a big one at one point. And that one was the one where my wheels started kicking as far as like, nah, I don't know. That dude's really old.
Yeah.
Is Maxey, like, can he just be a serviceable?
Wasn't that the 1 yard line? Wasn't that the Brian Windhorst 1 yard line quote?
I swear. Yeah, I swear. And it wasn't just Maxey. It was a package.
Oh, yeah.
Including Maxey. Yes. I think Tobias was part of that as well, man. So, to say in hindsight, glad we didn't do that is a little bit of an understatement. But the Dame thing, I think, is the realest over the summer. You saw what the Portland Trailblazers ended up giving him up for, and you look back on that and you think, well, the Portland Trailblazers would have probably taken a package with Tyrese Maxey in that deal for Dame Lillard and been fine with it. Because you look at Tyrese, he's better than any guard that is on the Portland Trailblazers of now, right? That was the big thing. The Portland Trailblazers wouldn't want Maxey because they have Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson. No, they will take Tyrese Maxey, I'm sure, at this point. But all in all, I'm glad that he's still in the Sixers jersey, man. I've been kind of preaching and hyping this guy up for really the last 2 years, I feel like. And over the last year, I would say I started to see the vision and started to see that we kind of had to take the top off of this kid and take the ceiling off, because when you can shoot the ball at the efficient rate that he can, we're talking like Steph Curry type of stuff here. Like
there's a calmness to it, dude. Yeah. Like he just turned 23, and you just trust this kid with the ball in his hands at any point in time, game on the line.
He's the closer.
Down 8, need a bucket to get back in it. You trust whatever Tyrese Maxey's about to do. If he's about to step back from 35 plus feet, you trust it. If he's in the lane fighting through contact with a floater, you trust it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's a good point to show the confidence that this team has. And in Tyrese Maxey. And it's just really the skill set. When you look at his skill set, man, and I think he's shown a lot more athleticism this year just on the defensive end. We've seen the
We haven't
glass
even talked about
off
that
the
part.
backboard. I mean, 3 blocks.
It's every night. It's every night.
Contesting everything. Like we talked about Embiid committing to the defensive end and contesting everything at the rim, but all of these guys are doing it. They're all contesting.
Batum had 3 blocks last night.
Batum had 3 blocks last night. Exactly. So all of these guys are getting after it. But to get back to Maxey, man, the quickness, the shooting, the confidence, the work ethic, it all feeds into it, right? Along with a great basketball IQ mind.
I mean, the maturity.
Talk about the assists, man. The maturity, that's like, part of
this kid. This kid gives you 50 last night, and the first words out of his mouth was, "Nah, this was Kelly Oubre Jr."
Yeah, he's not excited about 50. He's just excited to go out there and perform for his boy that just got hit by a car.
Yeah,
and you got to appreciate what Maxey is. I think that's the other side of it, is that not only is he this like up and coming ascending star, but he's one of the greatest guys on earth. Like the guy was giving out turkeys over the weekend. Right, giving back to the community. But when I look at Maxey, man, that's what I was saying before the season. Like, when you look at his game, he's got to get, 10, 11 threes a game on a given night, because he has the ability to have nights where he's going to give you 7 or 8 threes in those bunches. So to that point, but looking at the production, you mentioned like the jumps from each year. And I think that's the big kicker here. Like, maybe we did see it coming. Maybe we saw him even turning into an all-star type of player, turning into he's playing at an all NBA level right now.
He's playing at a top. He's playing as a top 15 player in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think through of
that is kind of my point of where I know I was wrong. Like my point about being wrong on him. Like when the whole Dame thing was going down, and Tyrese Maxey's ascending, blah blah, and I'm like, dude. It's Damian Lillard. Like, you guys know that, right? Like, you're talking about a top 75 player ever, right? You're talking about one of the greatest shooters ever, one of the greatest scorers ever. Like, he's a top 10, 15 player. And I just didn't think already in this championship window that we discussed with Joel Embiid that Tyrese Maxey could play at a top 15. The talent in the league right now is almost at an all-time high. Like individual talent, right? Spread throughout the league. It's almost at an all-time high for the NBA, right? And this dude's right in the core of it.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't expect.
That's a great point.
That's what I did not expect to see.
Yeah, and I think it's fair because, like, for me, it's not that I didn't expect the ascension to all-star status this year, to maybe a top 25 player in the league, but like
50 next to Embiid, bro, averaging 25
for it
plus?
to happen 9 games into the season is what is very surprising, right? Like, it didn't take him 25 games into the season to figure out his role, figure out
while this is happening too.
Yeah, 53 assists, 10 turnovers. That's what I was about to say, man. The assist numbers are crazy. You look at the jump from last year, 3.5. The most he's ever averaged in his career was 4.3. He's up to 7.2 right now. But the key there, he's at his lowest turnover rate of his career outside of his rookie season where he didn't play much. 1.1 turnovers per game compared to 1.3 last year and 1.2 the year before. So he's handling the ball more, right? Playmaking more, has more assists, but the turnover rate isn't going up at all. It's not moving. In fact, it's actually gone down a few percentage points. Rebounding's up, 5.4 rebounds compared to 3 previously. Free throw percentage is up, 93% compared to 85 last year. 3-point percentage is at the same rate, 43%. He's shooting 8 threes a game compared to 6.
All on higher
50%,
volume.
50% from the field, increase from last year, 48%. He's shooting 20 shots a game compared to 15 a game last year.
Scotty, those numbers aren't supposed to match. Like those percentages are going up on higher volume. Like there's the balance. It's supposed to spread out, right? Higher volume, maybe slightly less percentage. No, it's going up while the volume goes up.
It's insane.
And I stand on this. I texted you this last night. This is the biggest thing for me, man. I cannot stress this enough. Go back to game 4 versus Boston. What happened? What transpired in game 4? 2 guys, right?
Yeah.
Harden with 40, 41, whatever he had, and Embiid with 34, 35, 36, whatever he had. And it got the job done, and that crazy game evens the series. And that, again, was part of the question that I had within Tyrese Maxey. Like, can you even get, is that even a possibility to get out of him next to Embiid having 36?
Right.
Well, I mean, box checked, question answered. Like, he outdid Harden while Embiid outdid himself, right? In that specific performance, man.
It's
and you
crazy,
could just go
man.
down the list. Like, against this very Pacers opponent, the Milwaukee Bucks lost a game a couple nights ago while Giannis gave you 54.
Yep.
But what did everyone else do? Well, let's see. Everyone else struggled for the Bucks that night. How about the Sixers? 50 from Maxey, 37 from Embiid, 18 and 9 from Tobias Harris on almost 50% shooting. Nicholas Batum gets a start. He knocks down 3 of 5 threes. DeAnthony Melton, one of his lower volume games, still gives you 10 points, 6 assists. Like, everyone else in the starting 5 also contributed next to the 50.
Yeah. No,
And that's hard to do, man.
It is. It's hard to do against a team in the Pacers who are 6-4 right now in the season. They're in the top 4 or 5 seeding in the Eastern Conference, and they're the highest scoring team in the NBA. So not only from the offensive output productivity, but from the defensive point as well. And I think more importantly, looking at it from the Sixers perspective, just being able to win in different types of ways. Like, you look at the Celtics game, that was low 100s.
I was going to say that.
109 or 106 to 103, something
Detroit,
like that.
they come out, get punked in the beginning, right? Look sloppy, down 18-19 at one point in the first half, come back, and not just win the game, but just totally control the second half. The Sixers go up by double digits themselves in that game on the road.
Yeah. It's been amazing to watch this team perform over the first they're 8-1 now, 8-1, 9 games so far. It's been amazing to watch between Nick Nurse. You see Kelly Oubre out last night, right? And he's averaging like 20 points per game this season so far, and this team doesn't miss a beat. And that's not to discredit Kelly Oubre; it just shows how well Nick Nurse has this team operating, and the depth that this team contains. Sorry, that glare was getting my eyes there.
I was just going to message you and be like, you might want to slide the camera.
Yeah, slid it over a little bit. That sun is shining in, but
it's like a new room.
It is crazy what you said earlier about Maxey and Damian Lillard. And right now, man, I know the season's still early. Dame could turn it around, become a great All NBA level player for the Bucks. But looking at Maxey right now, man, I texted you this last night, and we're gonna do a Would You Rather segment on Wednesday to really get down into it. But would I take Maxey over Damian Lillard right now? Like, yeah, I think I would, man. Like, you look on the defensive end of the ball, Maxey is way more capable than Damian Lillard on that side of the ball. You look at playmaking, Maxey looks to be at least equal to Dame from a playmaking standpoint. And then you talk about efficiency. Maxey's more efficient than Dame Lillard as a scorer. So it is an interesting conversation that we'll be able to discuss around the league. Not only Dame Lillard, but you can go across the board mano a mano for many of the players in this league outside of like Luka Doncic and the other top 5 players in the NBA. And Maxey's right in the mix there. So I did want to go back to that, but you mentioned it, man. Batum sliding in for Oubre into that starting lineup. And that is kind of what we talked about before this had to happen. Like, before Nick Nurse's hands were forced with the accident with Oubre. Batum being in the starting lineup. And I do think when you look at it from a defensive perspective, just like a spot-up shooting perspective, right? He fits, I don't want to say a lot, but he fits better than
he fits
Kelly
that
Oubre
starting 5
lineup.
better, where when Kelly comes back, hopefully soonish, right?
Yeah.
Whenever it is that he's able to return and Kelly gets put on the bench, you get that freedom from Kelly Oubre Jr.
Exactly.
To, not run an offense. He's not a point guard, but to have the freedom to score within that unit, right? Pat Bev's on the floor with you. Paul Reed's on the floor with you. You have that kind of freedom. Where in the starting 5, you're now a 4th option to score the basketball. And he was fitting it just fine. He was still getting his opportunities, still scoring 18 plus a night, 15 plus a night, right?
Yeah.
But just flip-flop them, right?
I just think like when you think about how the rotation goes throughout the game, like usually it's the starters go off the floor and Embiid stays on the floor in the first quarter, right? Plays the whole first. Oubre should be that first guy off the bench, right? Like when Maxey goes to the bench,
Oubre and Pat Bev should be
Oubre, Pat Bev come into the game. Oubre can then work with Embiid. He can handle the ball as well, be that extra ball handler with Pat Bev. And then also the cuts. Because I think that's like the biggest thing. I do like the game. I like his game with Embiid.
Yeah.
Right. Embiid garners all that attention. Oubre can be that cutter through the middle that can finish around the rim with his length. So it is interesting. They got a lot of options. Let's just hope Oubre can, get back healthy as soon as possible. But I loved what I saw from Batum in that starting lineup. D-Melt looked a lot better last night, but once again, we got to see it consistently from D-Melt before we can really buy into him like being back or being more more what we're
last night is all I need out of D'Anthony Melton.
Yeah.
6-7 shots, 6-7-8 shots, right? Couple threes, double-digit points, right? 10, 11 points. I don't need anything else out of you, bro.
I agree, man.
That's all I need.
6
If
assists.
D'Anthony Melton averages 12 points a game for this team, that's fine with me. He's the fifth option in the starting five. Fine with me, dude. But like once you get into nights where D'Anthony Melton's 1 for 8 and he just continues to shoot in the fourth quarter, like that has to stop.
Like I get shooter's mentality, but not for D'Anthony Melton. You're not like that. Like you're not like a pure shooter. You can shoot, but you're not a pure shooter. So we don't need to live and die by
right that. Around league average is where I would put D'Anthony Melton from the 3-point line. Maybe at times he can be slightly above league average.
He's so open a lot of the time that he can probably be above league average if he's doing his job. But
to go back to Batum real quick though.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Because I just wanted to say one quick thing. Korkmaz needs to be out of the rotation.
Okay.
But that's it.
I thought we were about to take this conversation in another direction and be like, no, Korkmaz has had something. No. Korkmaz and I don't know. Daniel House. I don't know how to feel about Daniel House.
Rather have House than Korkmaz, but
I'd rather have him than Korkmaz. But like
what about
we were talking about
Marcus
before,
Morris,
you
KJ
do have a
Martin.
dude in Marcus Morris, and you have a young athletic talent like KJ Martin just sitting there, and maybe that's for a reason. Maybe we're way off base here, but the fact that those two get to play double, Daniel House played like 16, 15 minutes last night, and I was just like, I don't need all that, but. Anyway, he does bring the energy at least a little bit, and he can shoot the three a little bit. But Batum is a much, much better defender than I ever thought when he came here.
Yeah.
You just look at Batum's, just like at his figure, and like people were talking about the comparison with how he looks like Al Horford in a Sixers uniform. I just thought he was slower than he is. I thought he was a little bit more out of shape than he is. I did not think he could go. Dude, he picks you up. He's picking up Tyrese Halliburton full court just to disrupt their offensive flow and staying with Tyrese Halliburton. 3 blocks. Like, he's committed on the defensive end, and that's all I needed to see from Nick Batum so far, because when he wasn't playing and he didn't come meet the team yet, and it was for family matters, personal reasons, whatever the case may be. And the rumors are, leaking out about how his wife or his family don't want to be here. And we don't know how true that is. I have no idea. But then he gets here and he's kind of quiet, right? And you're just questioning, like, is this just a road stop for Nick Batum? Like, does he care about being here? Well, anyone that is consistently picking up 90 feet, anyone that's chasing down guys at the rim, he probably cares, or at least cares enough about the game where he's going to be committed while he's here. And that's all I need from him.
Yeah. No, I can't say enough about Nicholas Batum because he's just pure class when it comes to
I mean,
basketball.
his
Like,
finger was bent 4 different ways the other night, and he came right back in.
Comes back in. And then he's shooting the ball just fine, right? Last night he hits 3 threes, so the finger isn't even affecting
Dude, the
him.
quick trigger is something else as well, man. Like,
He's just he's very workmanlike. He very much reminds me of like a San Antonio Spurs type of basketball player back in the day, of just that like role player, like a Robert Horry or a Bruce Bowen or something, right? Where he's just always in the right spot, always makes the right play. And I think he's been pure class since he got here. He just plays the game the right way. And it is, when you look at him on the Clippers, it's almost like they were just too jumbled at the forward spot to where he got put in very weird positions. Like sometimes he'd be playing like a small ball 5. So he doesn't have to do that here. He can just strictly be a 3 or a 4, a wing defender for our team. And I think it fits well. When I've watched him play for France, man, he's still, even over this summer, right? He still has so much left in the tank, even at his age. I know he's like talking about retiring from France, retiring from the NBA after this season, but he still has so much to contribute. Like he can let it like really fly. He kind of holds himself back in the NBA, I feel like, because there's so much talent. But when he's playing for his country, man, he lets it fly. He can give you 20 in a game, right? So I look at what he has left in the tank defensively, his IQ. It's not even that he's super like fast. He's just more quick. And it's like because of his mind, he's ahead of you. Right? Like it's very very like Zen-like the way he plays basketball. He doesn't like you see him whenever he like has like a bad play or the ref makes a bad call. He'll just go over to the ref and be like, "Come on, be better." Like, you know what I mean? It's like he's not even going off on the ref. He's being like this nice guy who just loves to play basketball. I truly admire it, honestly.
He's a guy that it just feels like consistently makes the right play.
Yeah.
Makes the right read, makes the right pass, knows when to shoot it, when not to shoot it and swing it defensively. Like him and Embiid were just on the defensive end last night. We're just switching everything so seamlessly. And they weren't like Embiid wasn't getting beat to the rim for a lob like we've seen in the past to start games. Like those two defensively together were very, very good and quick with it when it comes to it. Miles Turner. Like even when Batum got switched on to Miles Turner, there wasn't, it wasn't impactful. Like there wasn't. He didn't get bodied in the paint for bad positioning. Turner catches turns, finishes, whatever. It's like, no, he held his own. He held his ground, got the switch back to Joel and continued the possession.
It's honestly beautiful because you think of where the Sixers are at right now, and it just makes me wonder where we were before, right? Like you think about the way they're playing, and I get it. We have some guys added here like Patrick Bev, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington. And these are all guys who I would say have to have a great basketball IQ to make it in the NBA, right? Because they're all hustle guys. They're all guys that rely on being in the right spot at the right time, making deflections, different things like that. All of the glue stuff from those guys. But this team just looks so smart in different different types of moments, right? Like where the game can swing. And this could even be, all the way up to
night, right? When Indiana takes their first lead, it's like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, you got to turn it on, right?
And right back up 7.
I think Nick Nurse as well, even with the timeouts and the challenges, like they just seem way more calculated, right? At the spots in the game. And I think we really haven't talked about Nick Nurse much in this whole equation, but I think he is the epitome of what this team is right now. Like this team is Nick Nurse, but with full amounts of talent. We saw what he did with Kawhi Leonard. Well, he has Joel Embiid now, and we see what he can do around Joel Embiid. And it's starting to look very similar, not in the sense of the way the Sixers play compared to that championship Toronto team, but very similar in regards of the vibes around the team and the chemistry amongst the team, the willingness to sell out for one another, right? Embiid wanted to get Maxey the ball last night with 47 points, give him the screen, and then he can come back and hit that.
That's man. Like all the reports of the Knicks and is he happy and how much more is he going to put up with? And meanwhile, the dude literally, like, I don't know if the Maxey 3, the step back to get to 50, and even the bucket to get the 47 in the paint. Embiid just gave him the ball, went off to the wing, and as soon as the ball went up, Embiid's hand went up. Like, he was so excited for his 23-year-old point guard to go and get this 50 spot. And it's just like, yeah, he seems real depressed out there, right? Scotty, it's a wonder what winning can do for a person.
Exactly. And no, Embiid looks just fine right now, right? Like, he's the center of everything and everything's going great.
Your Nick Nurse point.
Why would he want to go to the Knicks, man? That's the thing that will never make sense, right? Like, okay, we can have rumors of Embiid wanting out, but why the hell would he want to go to the New York Knicks, who are basically like a lesser version of the Philadelphia 76ers?
Yeah, they're around behind the Sixers. And secondly, remind me again, if Daryl Morey is so stubborn and continues to make the right moves, it seems like, in trades, explain to me why Daryl Morey's trading one of maybe the greatest Sixer ever to lace him up for RJ Barrett and
Mitchell Roberts.
Yeah, whatever other spot.
Yeah, good thing we're 8-1. We don't got to worry about that.
But what winning can do for a person, man, and for a team, and for just the vibes all around. Because, like I said this to you before, winning cures all. Like, there can be drama and news, but guess what? You're 8-1. You win 8 straight.
Yeah.
There's no problems right now, man. And that system is now 0-4. With a team worse plus minus every night he's been on the floor for them. But your Nick Nurse point, I wanted to say real quick. It's one thing for a coach to have an idea, to have a vision, and it's another thing for his players to go out there and execute that vision.
Yeah.
Right now, what you're getting is the brain trust of Nick Nurse, the brilliance of Nick Nurse on a defensive side of things, on the offensive side of things, and you're getting a Sixers team that's almost executing it to a T.
Yeah.
And that's what's so fun to watch about this team right now. Everyone has bought into their roles. Patrick Beverley comes here, signs a 1-year deal, immediately just fits into his role. The new guys that were traded for Harden fit into their role. Robert Covington got a little outside of his role last night. Just
shot 1 3. Then I was like,
let's pulling up off the dribble, contest. No, we don't have to do that, Rocco. It's okay. But anyway, they know their roles. It seems like they are embracing their roles. That's the biggest thing. Before we move on here in a second, we just spent 32 minutes talking about everything within the Sixers organization and did not talk about possibly the glue to it all. And that is the vet, Tobias Harris. Just over the weekend, obviously no shows, didn't talk about, no pregame. Oh, what's he do? 24 against Detroit in a win. 18 next to Maxey's 50 and Embiid's 37. Again, something else you question, right? On the nights that Embiid gives you 48, on the nights that these two combine for 87, does everyone else defer? Does everyone else cower into the corner because these two need the ball every single possession? Nope, that's not how this team's going to run. That's not what Tobias Harris is going to do. He's going to defer, and he's going to take less chances and less shots because it's the smart play with how those two are playing right now. He's still going to give you 18, 9, and 4 in 36 minutes. He's still going to give you 24 in a game against Detroit on over 60% shooting. Just rock solid, dude.
Yeah.
Rock solid. I'll tell you this. Joel Embiid, obviously, a lock for all first team, for an all-star, right? Tyrese Maxey's getting all the recognition right now, and deservingly so, right? What's the talk been for the first 9 games? Is this the season Tyrese Maxey makes his first all-star? Well, dude, if it wasn't for Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris would be in that conversation right now to making the, and he still could, different positions. I'm not saying that, but my point is, like, remember a couple years ago when it was like the Tobias Harris All-Star season and Julius Randle beat him out for it and blah, blah, blah. Like, he's playing better than that year by a mile, dude.
Yeah, he is playing better. The shooting percentages are up 56%. Couple less shots, right? 2 less shots, but still up. 3-point percentage down by 3 percentage points, 39 to 36, 37, but still 90% from the line. So yeah, numbers are up. He's averaging more points from that 2021 season. Yeah, can't say enough about Tobias, man. The efficiency is what matters for a guy like him, with the amount of shots that he gets. So
Yep.
the fact that he's been so efficient to start this season, and then last night, right? Like you see him getting involved in other ways when Max is able to take over this game and be chipping in with 37 as well. Tobias adds in 9 rebounds, 4 assists as well. So guys are committed to the team, and I think that's the biggest part of this thing right now. That's keeping this team going. No egos, man. Nobody cares as far as like maybe it's not my night tonight, maybe it's his. Let's go ahead and pass that torch. And that's something we've been looking for the last couple of years with this Sixers team. They've had a ton of talented teams, had a ton of teams with a ton of stars, and it just always felt like there wasn't enough ball to go around for those teams. And this team, it's just not even the case. Year. Guys don't care. They just want to win, and that's what it is all about, man.
You watched this game the other night, and obviously both what Maxey and Embiid last night had 25 at halftime, or whatever they both had at halftime. Like you watched that first quarter, and Embiid scored what, like 18 in the first quarter, 19 in the first quarter, and it just seems like everything's running through him. So this is a night just kind of like Washington, where you sit back and go, all right, they're going to continue to feed Joe, and rightfully so. Yeah. But somewhere along the line, the kid finds enough ball to go get 50.
Yeah.
It mathematically doesn't even make sense what they did last night, dude. They almost combined for 100.
Because I'm looking at Maxey in this game, and I just had a feeling once he hit that first 3-pointer, if they hit the first one, they're usually going to have a night, I feel like. And that's what I was feeling last night. And then he goes on to hit 6 more of them things, man. It is crazy, but I think we could see a bunch of games like that from Maxey. Maybe not 50 points,
right?
But where he builds that confidence early, maybe he buries, his first 2 threes, and then he's going to be more willing to take more of those and get into the paint and really get his game grooving. So it is astonishing what Maxey and what this team has been able to do to start this season. And I think to your point from the beginning of the show about Maxey and just kind of, unbelievable where he is at right now in his career. I think that goes for the Sixers team as well, right? Like Embiid, like I think Embiid knew that Maxey was a really good, great player. Don't think he knew that he could be this. And same thing for Daryl Morey. You listen to Daryl Morey's interviews, man. He talks about Maxey, and he always says, if Maxey can be this second star, then we can do this for this Sixers team. If Maxey can do this or that. Maxey has shown signs in previous seasons with the 39 against Denver, right? Even Daryl Morey, who drafted this man, says he's thankful that he fell to 21, didn't know that Maxey could become this. And so to that point, I think you're spot on. This guy is moving, and I'll officially say it on the airwaves, he's moving at a Jalen Hurts level of ascension, a level of trajectory right now, where you look at Maxey, he's playing at an all-NBA type of level right now to start the season. Does he have to keep it up? Yes, you got to keep it up over an entire season. You got to do it in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But he is having that type of ascension. I'm not saying he's Jalen Hurts of the city right now, right? Not saying that. Embiid is closer to that as far as status, MVP level. Yeah. But Maxey's ascension, the year-to-year leap that he's taking, is very close to what
and I just like when you just the intangibles, right? The personality, the work ethic. Part of it. Joel's talked about it 80 times, it feels like, in 9 games, about Maxey's work ethic and how he's the hardest working person he's been around. And if Joel gets there at 7, Maxey's already there, and so on and so forth. It's pretty incredible to watch, man. And I did, for a second, when the Harden drama started, you did question a little bit, and Joel's not helping the situation at the time by trolling and social media and his interview and stuff, but you did question a little bit how that's going to affect him, because you got to like, on the court, everything seemed like sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
Right? Get the watch, the Harden jumping on him when he wins the MVP, Harden jumping on him after the Denver game when he takes down Jokic, and knowing how big of a moment that was. And they seemed so locked in together.
Yeah.
And you question, man, how's this going to affect him? And then you see how he has this new kind of founded relationship with his next point guard, and how this is probably just even next tier, next level. Yeah, but by the time the show's over, you're just gonna do a complete 360 again around the room. Yeah, you're gonna get a whole background layout of Scotty's office. But I do, man. I think that the cohesiveness between the two of them, the way they speak about each other, the way that, dude, 9 games in, Maxey basically playing a new position or a new role, so to speak. To see the level that this 2-man game is at, like, Scotty, is this 2-man game not more lethal than the Harden Embiid pick and roll that we were so desperately looking for last year down the stretch?
Yeah, absolutely is. It has to be. I mean, the passes that Harden makes and the timing of it,
Sure.
obviously he's a better
It's
passer.
prettier, right? In that sense.
Prettier.
However,
Maxey's doing similar things, but he's a better scorer.
Maxey's quickness, his ability to finish at the rim compared to where Harden's at this point of his career, and Maxey's 3-ball compared to Harden's 3-ball right now. That's the difference in the 2-man. Because Joel's Joel. When Joel gets the ball out of the 2-man game, you know, it's MVP. It's scoring champ numbers.
He's going to
make. The question is, what's the point guard able to do out of it?
Easier. Yeah, exactly. He's going to make anybody's life easier, right? He did it for Harden. He's going to do it for Maxey as well. But I do agree with your point. I think Maxey, even on the defensive end of the ball, he can get a turnover, he can get a block, he can get a steal, and he can take it coast to coast. This is something Harden cannot do. You know what I mean? Like, it's
and meanwhile, something else that James Harden essentially cannot do, which is unbelievable, is to have either the ability or the willingness to catch and shoot.
Catch and shoot. I mean, you'd think it's simple in an NBA.
I mean, you're all I feel like I'm seeing on my timeline is being flooded with James Harden mistakes and hesitation from the corner and everything like that. And then you got this kid that's just shooting off of his left leg, floating in the air to the left side of his body and just drilling them right from 40.
I think Embiid at some point during this process of Harden getting moved, I think at some point he kind of turned the heel on Harden and kind of realized what Harden was doing.
I think it definitely probably clicked. I'll tell you when I would have turned heel on James Harden if I was Joel Embiid. When you skipped my wedding to go eat cheeseburgers in a club.
Yeah.
Now, maybe the invite, no one knows the backstory. Maybe the invite wasn't even there. I have no idea. Maybe the plans were already, I don't know. But it seemed like, again, when you talk about from what was on camera, it seemed like these two were together, right?
Yeah.
And the watch and the MVP, and he helped him get that. And dude ate burgers in a club.
I do wonder, like when the Sixers play the Clippers, like what is that interaction like, right? Because at the end of the day, I get it. Harden helped Embiid get an MVP. He helped Maxey develop into part of this playmaker that he's turned into. He's helped this team in ways that, are undescribable. But when you look at the relationship of that, right? Like Harden coming out and saying he's the system and basically ditching Embiid in Philadelphia, right? That was supposed to be
right now is when you get like the movie board, like the on the planer, and just system failure. Like that's like you're getting alarms going off. System failure, because the system ain't fucking working, bud.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that ultimately, Embiid's looking at that. He's looking at what's going on here, and he's like, well, I think we made the right choice here. And just look at where the Sixers are at right now, man. Just to kind of, finish off the segment. We'll talk about a little bit of Eagles here to wrap up. But looking at the Sixers now, looking at the process, you got Embiid out of it. He was your homegrown. That's like it's like our son. It's like just our proud child. It's our child that we're super proud of. He was way better than all of our other children, right?
Yeah.
And then you get Maxey. He's the latest. He's the newborn.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to come into fruition. Yeah. And things look a lot more beautiful as a family. Now you can even take it a step further. Like we have, I think I can say this outright right now. I know it's 9 games in, but I think this team is moving very well right now. If Embiid could stay healthy, Maxey stay healthy, this team has championship aspirations this season.
Yep. 9 games in, I don't care. Say it.
Going into the offseason, you have 2 max slots. One's probably going to go to Maxey, to be fair. Then you have a whole other entire max slot to bring in another super max player. And to that point, the sky is looking up, right? Things are looking up for this Philadelphia 76ers team. And it's
Agree
actually
1000%.
insane to think about where we were at the beginning of the summer.
I've said this to you on the show already. Meanwhile, this was maybe like 4 games in, and I'll say it now even more convincingly, 9 games in, post Boston win, everything like that. We sat here a few short months ago and legitimately thought, and not just us, Sixers fans everywhere, as they came home with a 3-2 lead with that team, we thought with that depth, the lack of scoring off the bench, and that version of James Harden and Tobias Harris, we thought, and an injured Joel Embiid, we thought that team was good enough to get past the second round. We thought that team could compete for a title last year, right? So let me beg the question. I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass if it's only 9 games. You take that team and you compare it to what's happening right now. The depth, the role players, Tobias Harris compared to that Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey compared to the James Harden that we got last year, right? Joel Embiid healthy versus the injured Joel Embiid in the postseason. Why on God's green earth would we consider that team with James Harden championship contenders, but not this team? They are better, Scotty. They're better. Hey, listen, again, 9 games, but the Boston Celtics, well, Sixers are 1-0 on them on the year so far. And I said it before, on paper, they're better than Boston. Now, does it play out like that? I don't know, TBD. But they're better than Boston on paper. Milwaukee traded for Damian Lillard, 5-4 on the year. Lost a couple games they shouldn't lose already. Again, 9 games in. I'm just saying that this Sixers team is a lot better than we ever thought they were going to be this year. And if you're out there and you still have that mindset of this is still a punt it kind of year, and you're looking at the max slots that are open and they're not, why were they good enough? Why were they good enough in May? But they're not now. They're better.
Yeah.
That's
why I think it is like, if you can get your hands on an OG Anunoby, I think I'm kind of moving past Zach LaVine, honestly, just with Max.
Can I say something crazy? Playing. Me too, dude. I don't know. Listen.
He doesn't seem like
it all comes down to price and specifics, right? It all comes down to that. But if you're trading for Zach LaVine, Tobias Harris is gone.
Yeah.
Like money-wise, Tobias Harris has to be gone. And draft compensation. And whatever other role players we throw into it. Does that make you better?
Just looking at his numbers right now, and I don't, man. I don't know. I mean, it's tough because you don't know what a player will look like once it goes to a new system, right? Like if he comes into this winning culture, plays with Embiid and Maxey, his guys from Drew Hanlon camp, right? Maybe he comes in, buys in as a defender, buys in as an efficient scorer, but that's the key. Efficiency. Right now, I'm not sure that LaVine can give you the 22 he's giving you,
and
compared to Tobias' 20 on 56% shooting compared to LaVine's 22 on 42% shooting. So, like, that one's not moving me right now. At the end of the day, I feel like that's more star hunting than making the team better. Whereas OG Anunoby isn't as big of a star as Zach LaVine, but I think he would fit this team much better.
And the cost. Tobias Harris probably doesn't leave because of the money. As long as I'm not forgetting, OG Anunoby will be getting paid this offseason. He has not been paid yet. So Tobias's contract does not play a factor.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be draft compensation and probably expiring Marcus Morris.
Yeah.
That's what the Toronto Raptors are going to want.
Maybe they want a KJ Martin. I don't know. Like, whatever. Like, I mean, they throw that out there.
I'm sure.
Right. He's not playing.
We're not playing him, so whatever.
Yeah.
But exactly. That's the type of deal I'm looking for. Or you can even go in an even more conservative route and go towards like a Malcolm Brogdon, like a backup point guard type of role, or backup scorer, ball handler type of thing. So you could go that route as well. That would be even cheaper, I would imagine. OG is going to want a bag. We got the bag to give him, though, right? We got the max slot to give him. And my only thing, I get it if you don't think OG Anunoby is like a max contract player. Who is, right? Like, who in this offseason free agent
Hey,
wise
bud,
is a max contract
Jaylen
player?
Brown is the richest man in the NBA,
Make that make
and he
sense.
can't dribble with his left hand. So,
And at this point, I'm taking OG over like a Pascal Siakam, even, right?
1,000%.
Fit and everything considered.
Well,
I'm
and I
taking
just
OG
think
and an
too,
OG.
if the package is just draft compensation plus, a role piece or two that we're not using,
Yeah.
if he walks and you bring in another max guy, then he walks and you bring in another max guy in the
Yeah.
offseason, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
This would be ideal for me though, TR. I do believe that.
I agree.
OG, you match OG with the guy that he won a championship with, right? In
Yeah.
Toronto and Nick Nurse, and go from there. OG could be featured on this team. And I think, if OG's looking, I don't know what he's looking for, right? Like why he would want to leave the Raptors. Like, what is he just looking to contend and compete? Whatever the case may be. Maybe he's looking for notoriety, right? Like a better chance of becoming like an all-star type of player. Either way, I think that would work out a lot better in Philadelphia than where he's at right now. But whatever. I'm not at the end of the day, I'm not going to pound the table. It does make a lot of sense. But right now, man, this team looks pretty good the way it is, and we'll get Oubre back soon.
It's
so
fun, man.
we'll roll with it. Whatever.
We've talked about this team for over 50 minutes now. I can't
It's crazy.
get enough.
Off a
I
Pacers
don't know. Yeah, I just night to night. Hell, if the Pistons game was on tonight and we had a show, or tomorrow and we had the show Wednesday, we'd be talking about that game because of how that, like we said,
that was another style of victory.
Right.
Coming back and keeping your head in the game against a team that you should be blowing out, but it's just not going your way.
Listen, basketball has always been a game of runs, but it seems like over the last year or two, the runs have gotten even crazier. Like a 20-point lead. We know firsthand in the postseason, a couple years ago against Atlanta, what a 20-plus lead looks like when it's not safe, right? But like you look at that, like it's not like the Sixers were down 10 at halftime. Sixers were down like 19 at one point in the second quarter to the Pistons, and found a way to not only come back, but then create their own double-digit point lead in the second half and close that game out easily and handily. So, again, that's a game where in the past you get down 18-19 against a bad team on the road. Maybe Joel checks out mentally.
Or even they would come all the way back and then still lose, right? Crumble at the end, right? That would be something that we can predict.
Same thing with Boston, right? In the past, Boston makes that run, which is still inexcusable to allow it to happen. But they make that run. Sixers find a way to lose that game, bro.
Yeah.
Instead, they make that run, but you get the bucket by Embiid with 30 seconds left, and you get to stop, and they close it out, even as scary as it was.
I think that was a learning lesson.
Win, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of another 8-1 team, wrong side. There we go. Always get confused with the camera. Eagles bye week done 1 week from today. They head to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. And all anyone can talk about, and rightfully so, it's a big storyline, is this Eagles strength of schedule, is this gauntlet that has already started, but people want to act like it's just starting now. You get Kansas City in Arrowhead on Monday Night Football a week from today. You get the Bills coming to the Link the week after that, and the week after that, you get a rematch in Philadelphia of the NFC Championship game against the 49ers. You also play the Seahawks in Seattle at some point in a couple of weeks. You play the Cowboys on the road again in a couple of weeks. So this schedule does not ease up, Scotty. Something I want to get into, guys. Feel free to comment what your opinion is, who your need to be a win is against. But what is the most important matchup to you? I have a feeling we're going to agree. We haven't discussed our thoughts. I have a feeling we're going to agree, but I'll defer to you first here. I'll be Joel Embiid in this situation. You're Tyrese Maxey.
Fair enough. Yeah. So just to highlight all four of these games, right? And you mentioned it. There's a gauntlet outside of this, right? We played the Dolphins, we played the Cowboys already, but we'll just start right here, right? Where with the Super Bowl rematch, and I think that speaks for itself. You've already lost to Kansas City in a big game, in a big moment, and you want to beat them. You want to prove to yourself that you can beat Patrick Mahomes, you can beat Andy Reid in a big matchup. Both of these teams at the top of the NFL right now. It is in Kansas City, though. So that is why it makes me take a step back as far as, like, is this game all or nothing for me as far as, like, I need this W. I think it's more than excusable. And knock on wood, I'm not saying that they will lose a game or that it's okay to lose a game, but it's way more excusable to lose in Kansas City than to lose in Philadelphia against these other teams. So I'll take that one off the list.
By the way, Andy Reid's like an effing genius out of the bye week too. So
yeah, so that's part of it as well. So that one is not going to be like the biggest loss in the world to me at all. So take the Chiefs out of the equation. The Bills team is interesting because it's probably the team out of the four that you should beat the most. Like they're the worst.
The team that I talked down on at times. So
so it's like if we lose to them,
loss for me,
then it's probably the worst looking loss out of the four, I would say, right? But still, that's a team at home, Thanksgiving. I'm going to that game. They better win it. Like
there's not enough out of all of the matchups. There's not enough juice. Yeah, there's not enough built up. There's no storylines to it. There's no past history of last year, 2 years ago from it.
Exactly. So then you get to the two NFC components, and it's the Cowboys and the 49ers. And you look at the Cowboys, that game is in Dallas. You've already beat the Cowboys. You got to step up on them in the division already. Right. The 49ers come into the link. All the shit that they've talked over the summer, man. Hassan Reddick even said he's circling this game, right? So the shit talk has now come back from the other side as well. So there's a lot on the line when it comes to dignity and pride, when it comes to the 49ers coming into the link in this season, right? I believe it's week 13 that they come to the link. That is the game that we must have, not only for that reason, because it's in the link and because of all the shit that they talk, but because they did just have this nice bounce back game against the Jags and they're feeling themselves again. That is going to be your toughest competition in the postseason. That is the team that you're going to have to beat in the NFC Championship, hopefully in the link in the NFC Championship. So for those reasons, all combined, that is why the 49ers are the team that I need to see the Eagles beat out of these four opponents coming up, man.
So I do agree with you. And to Marshawn Lynch's point, the only one he sees us losing to is Kansas City. I do feel like this is a loss. I will tell you this. If the Eagles find a way coming out of the bye week, now granted, we're all coming off a bye too, but Andy's history, not only versus us, but him off the bye week, his team's out of the bye week. If the Eagles found a way to win that game, my tone may just change a little bit just because of how astronomically huge that win would be. And on Wednesday morning, Tuesday, what we get to talk about and whatever. But for right now, the Niners are the biggest need for me. And here's why. For all the reasons you laid out, obviously, for all of the back and forth from all of the hypotheticals that were thrown out there. If Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, if this doesn't happen, if you don't play Josh Johnson and whatever. I need to know that you are still the best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
Like you get to the Kansas City can only be seen again if you get to the Super Bowl. Buffalo can only be seen again if you get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You talk about San Francisco, you're most likely going to have to go through them to get back to the Super Bowl. And I need to see that what I think, what I believe, which is that the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, is still relevant. Now, granted, that does not mean that the Eagles lost this game by a last-second field goal or however they lose, that they cannot beat the 49ers if they saw them in the NFC Championship game. I'm not trying to say that at all.
Yeah.
But give yourselves and give this city the validation, not only the validation, but give yourselves the thought process that we are better than this football team.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you go back to that Dallas-San Francisco matchup, and we asked ourselves on the show, who do you want to see win? And we both answered San Francisco, because the hate runs deeper with Dallas anyway than just one off season with the 49ers, but also because it's a 2-team race in the NFC between the Eagles and the Niners. I don't want this to become a 3-team race, meaning if Dallas shows that they can beat San Francisco, this now throws another roadblock for the Eagles. Well, that didn't happen. Now I need to see us take care of business. Yeah. Now I need to see that you are still the better team on the road back to
Yeah.
the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I think, looking at I see Marshawn Lynch's comment here about the Cowboys, and they're the game right after the 49ers. I do agree with you, though. The 49ers is the game here because if you lose to Brock Purdy at home, I think that is very concerning. Like just to be very straight, like you look at these 4 teams, right? What is different about the 4 teams? Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy. That's where really that stigma with the 49ers, why I think the Eagles are truly better than that team, is the quarterback position. So to lose to that guy at home would be very damning for me as an Eagles fan, and for the Eagles as the best team in the NFC, supposedly, right? Like that would be very damning in that sense. And, I look at the Cowboys. It's not to disrespect them. It's not to say that game doesn't mean anything. No. We have already beat them, though. Like, we have.
Because
they played one of their best games against us, and we still beat them, right? Like, Dak had a career game, and we still beat them. So when I look at the Cowboys, we go into Dallas, like, if Dak goes out there and throws for 400 yards again and 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, well, then so be it, my man. Like, so be it. We lose that game.
Because no one came into the season saying that we're going to sweep Dallas. Like, I think we all kind of recognize that this is a fairly even matchup, and we know the history between the 2 teams, and you kind of just chalk it up as a split. Well, the Eagles took round 1. If they happen to take round 2, well, then that's even funnier, and we can discuss it then. But when I'm talking about who I need to see them take care of business against, it is by far the San Francisco 49ers, because, like you said, you just did it against Dallas.
Yeah. And if the Eagles beat the 49ers, the Dallas game is less important. Like, truly. Like, if you beat the 49ers, that Dallas game really doesn't carry any weight in reality, outside of just wanting to beat Dallas.
And by the way, I know there's a long season left to be played, but the fact that you did create even more separation between you and Dallas, even if you were to lose to them in Dallas, most likely if you saw them in the playoffs, it would be in Philadelphia again, because I don't think Dallas is going to catch us regardless. So, all right, you beat us in Dallas. They have like a 12-game winning streak in at home right now. Oh, that's great. Where you got to come to in December. You got to come.
Mind you, I don't know if you saw this this comment from CD Lamb.
Oh no!
I just got it sent to me this morning while we were on the show.
They're already making things worse for themselves.
I'm the top receiver in this game, and there is no question about it.
Oh, okay.
If there is, I'll see you again next week after the 49-17 win over the Giants. Like, dog, the Giants, man. Like, say it last week, then, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like, say it last week.
And granted, he had 190. He had 190 yards last week. He could have said it.
He could have. Like, he could have looked like an asshole after a loss. Like, I don't know, weird, but nonetheless, they're feeling themselves once again after a win against a dismal opponent. And while I'm looking forward to that game, I'm looking forward to beating that
better.
ass,
And I'm just gonna call it what it is. Like, I don't care. I don't interact with them on Twitter anyway.
Yeah.
But like, the Cowboys content creators have to be, like, we always talk about how that fan base is delusional and everything.
Yeah.
That those content creators are by far the most delusional people to ever roam this planet.
Yeah.
Like, the screenshots and the back and forth I have seen with some Eagles people where, like, the same dude, I forget what Cowboys person it was, Dre, I forget. He tweeted about the fact that the Eagles beat Josh Johnson and Daniel Jones on the road to a Super Bowl and blah, blah, blah. But then he made a tweet before the Cowboys just played insert Italian name, DeVito. There it is. Danny DeVito's grandson. I don't freaking know. Before they played that quarterback and that team at home, the same person tweeted, "Get ready, Cowboys fans. We won't be able to enjoy this win because of who we're playing." And so you want to enjoy your win against Danny DeVito's grandson, who can't throw the football vertically, but you want to throw shots at the quarterbacks the Eagles played in the postseason.
It's so
I don't know,
typical.
man.
And then how about Shannon Sharp? We'll obviously be back Thursday for Turf Talk. We'll recap the weekend, but Ravens dropped one, right? We were talking about
Man,
them on the
it's
last Turf
Scotty.
Talk.
And we'll talk about it on Turf Talk, but it's why we talk about so often how this league is so confusing and it's week to week, and any given Sunday is such a true statement. But it's why you can't make declarations about these unknown teams. That's what Baltimore is. They're an unknown. Yeah. Have they won anything? Have they been to an AFC championship? No, they haven't. So they're like them. The Maryland and the Lions are still winning. The Lions big win yesterday, 40+ points. They're 7-2. But remember when they were heading to the same Baltimore team, and the conversation nationally was, should the Lions be held in the same conversation of the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the 49ers? And then they get their shit kicked in against the Baltimore. You can't make declarations. There's a few teams you can talk about with certainty. And throughout all the ups and downs, at the end of the year, they will still be there. It's the Eagles. It is the 49ers because they will be in that game come the end of the year. It's the Chiefs. And right now, I probably can't throw another AFC team in that conversation with certainty.
Yeah.
Too many ups and downs from unknown organizations. Those are three teams you can have consistency with. Even after a bad loss or whatever, they'll be there. When you come out because the Ravens are rolling and in week 8, week 9, say the Ravens are the best team in the NFL and it's not even close, you put yourself in a situation where you can be, not like mocked, but your opinion becomes less like
credible.
Yeah. When, dude, you're Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
You're one of the greatest.
We don't.
Greatest out of position this league has ever seen. You're a Super Bowl champion. You know more football than I could. You forget more football than I could ever know, right?
Yeah.
But to come out and make a ridiculous statement like this midway through the season for a team that is unknown.
And he shouldn't have any bias against the Chiefs or the Eagles. You know what I mean? He's not like a Cowboys player. There's no excuse to have that bias. If you wanted to tell me that you think the Chiefs are better than the Eagles, while I disagree, I'll allow it, right? Their defense is better right now. Their defense is playing at a higher level. The offense isn't, but they still have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. But if you want to argue that, that's fine. But the Ravens, come on. You look across the AFC, man, Ravens, Jags, Bengals, all lost yesterday. So they're all – I'm just naming these three because they were the top 3 AFC teams outside of Kansas City in my power rankings this last week. They're all moving down. Dolphins didn't play this week. Browns got a huge win, so they'll move up. But – that just speaks to the volatility, the variability of this league right now. Any given Sunday, man. Yeah. Any given Sunday.
When I say
Browns can go out there and beat the Ravens with Deshaun Watson playing like shit.
Right. Every year is a new year for each and every team. I get that. But when I say an unknown team, that's exactly what the Baltimore Ravens are to me.
Yeah.
Why are they unknown? Because I haven't seen them even play in an AFC championship game since Lamar Jackson's been there. The Bills, when people talk about how the Bills are a top 2 team in the no, they're not, because you can't make claims about the Bills. The Jaguars, they might be on a roll. They might beat the Bills. Whatever. They play a real contender in the Niners. They score 3 points.
Yeah.
When people make declarations about Brock Purdy and the 49ers, I even threw them in the same sentiment that, they'll be there just because of how, I guess not weak, kind of how weak the NFC is and how talented their roster is. But
they're better than the Lions. They'll,
right.
I think the 49ers would dog the Lions in the playoffs.
They would.
You see the Lions give up 38 points to Justin Herbert and the Chargers last night. Don't get me wrong, Keenan Allen had a hell of a game, but the Chargers offense is not built like that to be scoring 30, 40 points. So that doesn't move me. But I do agree with you. While the 49ers aren't the highest in my rankings right now, right? And I'm not sold on Brock Purdy by any means, their defense is known to be really good and can only get better.
Their weapons are absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, the weapons are good. Debo's back healthy.
Understand that. We understand that.
CMC is a monster. So Yeah, like they're in the class of the NFC over the Cowboys and over the Lions for my money.
And then there's just no.
They beat the Cowboys 42-10. To be fair, like I mean that's crazy. Like to beat them like that. So I mean they have game. I can't wait for that matchup. That's why it's the most important, man.
Yeah,
of those four.
Thursday night's going to be an important matchup too for NFL. You have the Ravens and you have the Bengals. Finally, we get a good game. Probably won't be a good game. Anytime those two teams get in meet in primetime television, it's a horrible game. Not horrible game, but it's defense, it's 3 and outs, it's slow, it's low scoring. But in terms of playoff status, divisional race, two good teams in their conference, it's a good game, but we'll see, man. Like we said, again, we'll talk about it on Turf Talk, but the Bengals, I thought the Bengals were back.
Yeah.
And I know the kid's playing unbelievable, but you just allowed a rookie quarterback to come into your house and beat you at the end of a game.
Yeah. Take your lunch money.
Pretty crazy. But
long
anyway,
NFL season left, man.
That is going to wrap up this Monday edition. Not a Victory Monday. Eagles on the bye. Victory Monday. Sixers play.
Victory Monday still. Yeah. Double Victory Monday. We've had two.
We will be back live Wednesday morning talking more Sixers, more Eagles, little would you rather segment when it comes to Tyrese Maxey and the star that he is. Sixers take on the Pacers at home in-season tournament. Let's see what that new floor looks like. I don't know if it's going to hurt my eyes or what.
It's going to be red from what I've heard.
It's good. Lots of red. In-season tournament game on Tuesday, and then the Boston Celtics come back to town Wednesday. Going to be very interesting to see. Is there any load management? Does Joel Embiid play the back-to-back?
Yeah. That's a good point, man. That's a good point.
So, and what game do you sit? Do you want to win the in-season tournament game more than you want to compete with Boston? Do you kind of, from a Nick Nurse perspective, do you say, well, we just beat this team? I don't got to, I don't have anything to prove in a week span, or do I want to put my foot on their throats and go up 2-0 on them? It's going to be very interesting next 48 hours to see what Nick Nurse decides.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I'm interested to see how they play that, because maybe Embiid doesn't have to sit out. Maybe he can just play the back-to-back. He looks healthy right now, so.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I hope not. I mean, you're off Saturday. You're off tonight. Like, it's
see
not
how
like
serious they take the in-season tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, LaMelo Ball will definitely be somebody we discuss on Wednesday, Marshawn. So tune in. We'll definitely be doing a would you rather across the league with Tyrese Maxey. So we'll be sure to include LaMelo Ball in that as well.
If you guys want to be interactive throughout that Would You Rather segment, make sure to smash that subscribe button, turn on notifications for whatever you got to do to remind yourself when we are going live, when we post a video here on the DSM Philadelphia YouTube channel on the road to our first 100 subscribers. We appreciate each and every one of you for commenting and following us along here. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your Monday. Go Sixers and go Birds.
Go